hour. Let's bring in our MS Now reporters, Jillian Frankel in Columbia Heights, Minnesota, Laura Barone-Lopez at the White House, and here with me in New York, founder of America's Promise, former DHS official Andrea Flores, and MS Now legal analyst, former federal prosecutor Paul Butler. Jillian, 5-year-old Liam, he's back home with his father, but other kids from that community are still in custody. What are you learning?
That's right, Anna. The Columbia Heights Public School District put out a statement over the weekend saying, of course, they're overjoyed that Liam and his father, Adrian, are now back in the state of Minnesota. But they also flagged that 4 other students from across the district are currently being held at Dilley. Yesterday, we actually talked to a principal's secretary from Highland Elementary School who told us the story of 10-year-old Elizabeth Casaguano and her mother, Rosa. She says that on the morning of January 6th, Elizabeth's father, Luis, came to the school in a panic. He had gotten a call from his daughter saying that they had been stopped, she and her mother, on their way to school by federal agents who were going to drop her off at the school that day. She never showed up, and he got a call in the early morning hours of January 7th saying that they had already been taken down to Dilley in Texas. And as you mentioned early this morning, we're learning from the Columbia Heights Public School District and from the Columbia Heights Police Department that the school received a credible bomb threat, the school district where Liam was a student, and that all schools in the district are now closed for the day. Anna?
Jillian, do we have any more transparency into the conditions at the Dilley detention facility where these families are being held?
Well, for context, Dilley is situated just outside of San Antonio. And what I can tell you, at least from the experience of this little girl, this 10-year-old Elizabeth, it's a tough place to be a kid. We know that the school has sent her letters from her classmates and photos, things from her teachers and from her dad. Her dad is also sending her money there to buy commissary items. But so far, she and her mother and other families there are taking things day by day. Anna?
Jillian Frankel, thank you for bringing us your reporting. Paul, Rosa and her 10-year-old daughter were apparently in the process of appealing the asylum decision. These are people doing things by the book. Why go after somebody going about it the right way? Does that actually undermine the rule of law?
It undermines the rule of law, but the cruelty is the point. So one issue is that they're trying to get people to self-deport. They understand that no parent wants his or her child to be in the situation that poor Liam was in. And so they're hoping that with these draconian, often illegal tactics, that will force parents, for the benefit of their children, to leave the country.
The first Trump administration, of course, had the infamous zero-tolerance family separation policy. And now here, Andrea, we're learning as the second Trump administration's ramping up their immigration crackdown, more and more children are being held in custody, whether families or in facilities just for minors. And they're holding them longer. And this is according to separate reporting from Washington Post, to ProPublica as well. Pre-Trump, I'm wondering, when a parent was taken into custody, what typically would happen with their children?
There would be a separation in that case. And what I think people need to track, so family detention, the way it is being used right now, was typically used for families who immediately crossed the border, who hadn't established ties back in the Obama administration. Under the Biden administration, they essentially stopped using this tactic because it was seen as so cruel and inhumane, and that there was no safe way to detain children, that they didn't formally end it, though, and that's an important point. And now what we're seeing, and what viewers need to understand, is that in Dilley, a parent cannot have any criminality to be sent there. So they are sending these families in a purely punitive way when there is no public safety, national security, or legal reason for them to do so. So I need people to understand the cruelty is getting higher. These are people who have established ties in our community, and so they sent them just because. I mean, these kids, Liam, thank goodness he's out, but there are so many who have been there, and now Congress is paying attention. And now they need to be demanding that all of those children are released because there's no legal reason for them to be there.
You both talked about the cruelty, and even the judge who ordered Liam and his father be released mentioned cruelty being a component here, writing the imposition of cruelty and its question of no bounds and are bereft of human decency, talking about the Trump administration and their behavior. Laura, when it comes to the investigation of the killing of Alex Preddy. There's been a lack of transparency from the get-go from this administration, but now ProPublica is reporting the names of the officers who were involved. What do we know?
Right, Anna. So MS now hasn't independently verified this, but ProPublica is reporting that the two agents who were involved in the shooting, who shot Alex Preddy, are immigration agents, and they are named, they are named Jesse Ochoa, who is a Border Patrol agent, and Customs and Border Protection Officer Raimundo Gutierrez. And this is based on records reviewed by ProPublica, which says that Ochoa is 43 and Gutierrez is 35. And they were identified as the shooters during the killing of Alex Preddy. Now, as you noted, Anna, there has not been much transparency from the administration, and there has been a lot of back and forth about who exactly is investigating Alex Preddy's killing. First, it was Homeland Security Investigations agents, which is very abnormal. These agents, HSI agents, do not have experience in investigating officer-involved shootings or in investigating potential homicides, and so that's according to HSI agents that I've talked to, former ones who say that it is not normal for those agents at all to be involved in an investigation like this. But then last Friday, it was made clear from the Justice Department that actually the FBI is leading this investigation and HSI is just in a supporting role. So a lot of mixed messaging here. And also it's unclear how much of the Civil Rights Division of the Justice Department is going to play a role in this investigation as it normally potentially would into a killing like this, Anna.
Okay, and I just want to make sure we get it right. The names were Jesus Ochoa and Raimundo Gutierrez, who ProPublica is identifying as the officers or the federal agents involved in the shooting death of Alex Preddy. Laura, you also have details of a new ICE memo giving agents broad power to arrest people without warrants. Walk us through that.
Yes, so this was a new memo that was issued on January 28th from Acting ICE Director Todd Lyons, and it was issued a day after President Trump said that he wanted to de-escalate in Minneapolis. But this memo essentially gives very broad authority, more expansive authority to ICE agents to conduct warrantless arrests of the people they encounter. Specifically, it says that immigration law, quote, unequivocally authorizes ICE to execute warrantless arrests if they have reason to believe that the person they're encountering is an undocumented immigrant and they're likely to escape before they can be arrested. And the key here is that in this memo, Lyons, the acting ICE director, is changing the interpretation of what likely to escape means, saying that can now include a subject in a car that they think may leave, or if they believe that someone is presenting them documents that they suspect, that agents suspect are fraudulent. So previously, it likely to escape meant that they just thought that an undocumented immigrant maybe wouldn't arrive later for an immigration hearing or wouldn't do their regular immigration changes. But the way this expands the powers to conduct warrantless arrests, former ICE officials, senior ones, have told me that this essentially makes it so agents can arrest essentially anyone they have encountered and gives them much more powers to do so, Anna.
Paul, I see you nodding along. What's your reaction to this memo? Is it legally sound?
No, it's an end run around the Fourth Amendment. And what's changed? The Constitution has not changed. The Supreme Court hasn't decided a new case that authorizes this dramatic grab of policing power, this dramatic expansion of policing power. The only thing that's changed is the Trump administration's enforcement policy, which is mass deportation. And this is a legal mechanism to allow it to happen. It will certainly be challenged in court. But in the meantime, federal agents can arrest people without warrants, basically at will.
Yeah, it seems like it's such a gray area as far as like what is the probable cause to arrest them, what gives them the indication that, one, they are in the country illegally, and what, it's a judgment call on whether they are in a position to escape
Literally, you
easily.
could be in your car.
You could be anybody. You could look like me. They don't know my citizenship, right?
That's exactly right.
So this memo came out, Andrea, shortly after at least the president indicated he was focused on de-escalation in Minnesota. How do you view it? And what do you make of the approach more broadly? Is this meant to just be a deterrent?
So there's no actions they've taken that suggest any factual de-escalation, right? So he claimed that he was sending in Tom Homan, the architect of family separation. We have to remind viewers And then he's spreading out agents across to other cities. We saw operations in Phoenix, Arizona. We saw operations in Maine, and now we're looking at Ohio next. And so why I say that is that this memo was not even timed with that de-escalation. This memo is not only an end run around the Fourth Amendment, but for all these videos we've seen of people stopped in cars, like this memo is to justify the arrest of those people, which we know as all right here, people of color. Like that memo is meant to entrap not just immigrants, but people who are going through the legal immigration process, people with no criminal history, no removable orders, U.S. citizens. This is a dangerous thing that Congress should be focusing on right now as they're trying to extract concessions. Because if this is allowed to sort of go forward, it is going to sweep up anyone that an individual agent thinks does not look American enough to be here and may flee. And then people are disappearing. U.S. citizens are disappearing in detention. Families, they're not tracking. They're flying them to all different jurisdictions. So that way people can't file habeas claims. This is mass deportation in action. And it is time for people to understand this will be the policy outcome as long as that is the president's goal. Until he says the words, we're no longer pursuing mass deportation, like this will get worse.